PaleNeØ are not only one of those bands who, every time I say their name, I wonder if I'm pronouncing it right, but they're also one of those bands who I've been tipping to be hopefully something exciting to look forward to since their first song, really. And a few other people have mentioned this as well. Certainly they're a band who've been catching a few people's attention. Now, why did I say this? Well, over on my main channel, Back Broadcast, again, link in the description below, but I do a series where I talk about bands who I'm excited about, who've maybe got like less than 1,000 subscribers, who've just started out, just had a new song, who I recommend, hey, go support them. This could be something big for the future. And quite a few months ago, PaleNeØ was one of those when they first kicked off. And the thing which really grabbed my attention was they had an interesting look, which I know is not essential to the music, but it just shows that they're thinking about their image. They're thinking about, you know, branding sounds like such a cold word, but you know, thinking about how to present themselves to the world, how to look unique, how to turn heads. But they were also presenting music which was in that hard rock area, which obviously gets a lot of Western fans, get lots of fans online, but they weren't just kind of doing generic, let's be hard rock for the sake of it. They were having something interesting running through their sound. There was a feeling that their first song was crafted with a real element of, hey, let's be interesting, let's be quirky. And that's the big thing for me. There are so many hard rock bands out there, and yes, lots of them are great, but I'm always drawn to the bands who do interesting things with their songwriting, with their sound, who try to be different in some way whilst also really knowing what people want. So I've been excited about PaleNeØ for a while. Haven't really heard much of their new stuff, but then suddenly got a notification of this song coming out. So here we are. Let's check it out. The name has I mean, look, I've been learning my kanji, but this name for this song has some kanji that I just do not understand, all right? So I'm just going to say that right now. I'm not going to be saying the song then. What I am going to be doing is listening to the song with you guys. 4 minutes 23 of it. I've accidentally played the first second already just when it opened up. Let's dive in from a whole 1 second into the new PaleNeØ song. I'm excited. I really want these guys to do well. Let's enjoy it. Right away from that piano in the beginning. It's that kind of soundscape and that I love with them. Alright, getting a bit of an unlucky Morpheus vibe already. Oh, I love that melody. Oh, and the chord pattern, this is nice. This is shouldn't speak too soon. It's really well written though. I'm genuinely enjoying. I always say this, I put songwriting above all else, and this is really nicely written. You've almost got like two chord patterns happening. You've got like a central one and the piano playing sort of like a second chord pattern over the top. I will never get over that weird thing she wears on her head. And it must be said, it is helped a lot by that 3/4 rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. song has already done more in 3 minutes than many of its contemporaries did in twice. And I love the fact it's so easy to follow and so accessible as well. It's not like alienatingly complicated. Alright, what are we going to do with this last minute? Or 45 seconds? You can play us out, right? Okay. Oh, nice. Yes. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, so adjusting the hat again. I gotta be honest with you. When I walked into this just now, let's find a nice frame to rest on. There we go. She looks very angry there. There we go. She looks happy there. When I went into this, I've got to be honest, and don't take this as patronizing, but when it's newer bands like this, you walk into these songs with a certain degree of, well, you know, you just want it to be, good because it's a band on the rise and you're just hoping they're sort of maintaining a basic level of standards and hopefully moving forwards and getting better and better. This was a genuine surprise. This for me is on par with a lot of their many more famous contemporaries in that. Okay, so first things first, this is one of those songs where the writing is the first thing that grabs me. As always, as I mentioned this, I respect good musicianship. That's a wonderful thing. But for me, songwriting is the number one thing. You write a great song, that will always be the top thing for me. With this, I can kind of tell it was one of those songs that it feels like it was written on piano. It feels like the piano bit came first and everything followed afterwards. It might not have been that, but it certainly feels that way. And there is something about these rock songs that are written on piano or not necessarily written on guitar that they tend to have a different approach to chord structure. And just the way the chord structure worked on this, again, you had that it was nice to add that 3/4 rhythm in, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, gives it a little bit of a swing. That's a good start. And then you add that piano where the chords are very interesting, dissonant. They're not just, it's not like one of those ones where the obvious chord follows each time. It had an interesting, different structure, but it was one that was easy for you to follow. The chords sort of walked down in an interesting way. The guitars underneath were doing something a little bit more simple, which was giving you a solid sort of rhythm section to the middle of the song. And the vocal was doing this beautiful sort of swooping melody as well, which, as I said from the very beginning, was an interesting melody. There's something to be said, and this often goes back to not to be overly stereotypical, but this is one of the things that I think made like bands like the Beatles famous, is the fact that you can do a melody and a chord pattern that is easy to follow, but is not the obvious chord pattern. It's not just your obvious sort of set of major chord patterns that we've all heard. I mean, you hear so often these things, and often it's done as like a joke thing. I know there's been various musical stand-up comedians who've said this thing. So, if you look at the hit songs from the last 50 years, they all have the same chord pattern, and then they'll just play the same chord pattern and sing like a bunch of different famous melodies over the top. And it is true, there are certain chord patterns that run through so many songs. You must have heard this, I'm sure, before. And there's nothing intrinsically wrong with that, but it's always impressive when you hear a band who can do something that isn't like that, but at the same time is just as easy to follow and just as entertaining. And for me, this was that. It was interesting. It felt like someone sat down at the piano, played with some chords, came up with some interesting progressions, and built that into a rock song. And that, for me, shows a desire to be original, a desire to be interesting, a genuine love for music and the way it's structured. Yes, there were solos in this, and yeah, the solos are really cool, but the solos were there as accentation. All of the musicianship felt it was there to serve the greater purpose of the song. I really like this. For me, this was great, and even at 4.5 minutes nearly, well, just over 4 minutes in all fairness, it felt tight. It didn't feel like it was like too baggy or wasting any time. Yeah, okay, you could argue that it didn't go through any huge changes, that once it had set its original, once it had set the pattern it was going to follow, it was mostly the same for the 4 minutes that it was there. But I think it was so interesting that was fine. I just found this very entertaining, there was a lot for me to get my ears into. There was a lot of sounds layered, but all the sounds worked well together. The vocal performance was beautiful. The guitar work added layers. There was the rhythm section. There was detail. There was nuance. There was an easy to follow melody. It was relatively catchy. It's not earworm territory, but it was one of those songs where it felt rewarding every time the chorus came round. I just thought this was great. This is one of those songs that I would gladly stick this in a playlist of rock songs of that more, if you like, dramatic variety, and come back to and enjoy. And yeah, credit to them, PaleNeØ. You are serving up some goodness here. This is certainly very different from their first single. And yeah, my hope for PaleNeØ remains high. They've shown a real quality for songwriting, for image, and yeah, I hope we just keeps on growing. What a great song. So fantastic job. That's my thoughts. As always, get in the comments, tell me what you think, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these, for now, ciao ciao.